Hello and welcome. I am Biridu, coach of the Atacama Tyranids, and today we're going to be doing a draft analysis and season recap for season one of the Battle Hub Draft League. So we got to quarterfinals this time, losing to Scorpion in a really tough battle for us, and didn't make it to finals as we had anticipated that we wanted to do. So first of all, I want to thank you, everyone, for sticking with the Tyranids and for following us throughout this whole season. And with that being said, I'm going to be showing you now what happened with the team, what happened with the roster, with every player, and how they did throughout the whole season. So, first of all, the team finished with a 7-3 record overall. We went to 7-2 during regular season and 0-1 in playoffs, losing, as I said, against Scorpion in the quarterfinals. We had a 70% win record, so I don't think that's bad at all. I think this is the best I've done in a league so far, if I remember correctly. The previous two leagues, I went into playoffs like losing 3 times already, but during SDA we got to semifinals, so that's something that we couldn't repeat this season at BHDL. We managed to score important wins, for example against Scorpion, who I think is a really tough player, a really good player to play against, because he's really good in the OU ladder in Pokémon Showdown. But we also managed to score painful losses. So we lost really badly against Scorpion in the quarterfinals, and the other loss that it hurt me a lot was against Vinard, who I think is a really good player too. So no shame on that. And I lost to Raymond during the last week of the regular season because I decided to troll, which I shouldn't be doing anymore. Or at least we had to settle that argument, that discussion before going into playoffs, into the game. So those losses were really painful. We didn't show our best, but what can you do? So another prop of this season was that it was an excellent learning experience with new mons. I hadn't touched some of the mons that came with home before, like any mons from season 8 I hadn't been able to use. I had never been able to use any of the genies too, so Thunderous was a learning experience for me this season. And that's pretty much it. That was new of BHDL for me. So I wanted to remark 2 games that I thought were really interesting for us. The most interesting game, I think, was the Atacama Tyranids versus the Piercing Poniards, led by the best not really. In that game, we managed to win 2-0, but that's not the reason this was the most interesting game, actually. I think I played really well in this battle, and so did the best not really. And the battle was back and forth. It was a really tough battle, and I think it was really fun. I don't think I've had a more fun battle than this one. Maybe the battle against Bina was really good too. That was a really tough one that I enjoyed a lot too. But I gotta say this one was perfect for me. It was a long battle, and I think my opponent played greatly. He brought really unexpected sets that caught me off guard definitely. And if I could revive this battle again, I would definitely do so because I enjoyed it so much. And the least interesting game was the Atacama Tyranids versus the Doubting Mammoths for week 9 of the regular season. As I mentioned before, the Doubting Mammoths coached by Raymond. So as I mentioned before, I decided to troll this game, thinking Raymond was going to do the same, but I pushed it a little too far. My Hippowdon managed to score 2 kills with its choice scarf set, but I really had no way to win this battle because of the obscure sets I brought, and that's fine. I won't be repeating that anymore unless we speak clearly before the battle. So nothing here to shame Raymond. It was completely my fault for doing so and not letting it clear to him before we came into the battle. So I think we're going to be having a serious battle with our teams sometime during these weeks. So hopefully you can see how a serious battle could have gone between Raymond and me. So that's it for the team. So let's move into the roster. So here you have the 10 months that I've used during the league. You might notice that there is one month that I drafted that it's not here, which is the Suidwai, because I didn't bring it any of the weeks actually. And I think during week 4 I traded it away for Chestnut and for Mischievous. So there you have it. That's why the mon is not here. So I'm not going to be talking about it because I think I could have brought it some weeks to be honest. But at that point I don't know. I think I needed. I don't know why I traded it away actually. I think it could have done good things for my team. Being a ghost type, resisting those being immune to those normal attacks, and it had access to knockoff and defog. So those two utility moves would have been great for my team. Because I only had one defogger in the form of Noivern, I actually couldn't. I had to put Noivern in a position where it needed to be like a utility mon and not a sweeper, which I wanted it to be when I chose it as my third captain. But anyways, let's talk about the mons that I did use. So first off, I'm going to be talking about Urshifu Rapid Strike. It came 9 times to battle, scoring 10 kills and getting 5 deaths. So that's a 78% win rate, which is more than our overall win rate. So I think Urshifu was pretty much what we expected when we drafted it as first pick. We knew it was going to be a potent wall breaker or a cleaner, and it did so in many battles actually. I think the fact that it wasn't able to Terra that hindered it a bit, a little bit. I'm not going to lie, because sometimes we needed that free setup turn to go for short stance, go for the trailblaze that we didn't have because we couldn't Terra into a defensive type. So that's why this mon didn't perform as well as we wanted it to, but it did its job. Next up, we have Heatran. Heatran came to 6 battles, scoring 3 kills and 4 deaths, with a 67% win rate, which is lower than our overall win rate. So that's pretty bad for a second pick. Honestly, I thought Heatran was going to do much better, but its quad weakness to ground, which is a pretty common type for mons to be carrying, really makes it hard to bring to all battles. It came to 60% of the battles it could, and it didn't score many kills actually for a mon with that huge special attack. But it often was relegated to do defensive tasks and utility tasks, setting stealth rocks, for example, or trying to go for burns into our opponent's physically attacking threats. Next up, we have Galarian Slowking, our third pick, which came to 5 battles, scored 7 kills and had 3 deaths, with an 80% win rate, which is way higher than our 70% win rate overall. So this one did amazing. Its ability to run defensive sets without being a dead weight, because it has so many courage moves It has access to toxic spikes, to thunder wave, which is huge. It was huge in some battles, and its coverage is really good. So it's also an amazing tool to check those especially offensive threats. Carrying an assault vest, and with the regenerator ability, you can heal by pivoting in and out. So this one was really good. It even came with a trick room set against the best not really, which is the match I mentioned that was the most interesting to me, and it performed amazingly well in there. So next up we have Thunderous Incarnate, which came to 8 battles, had 3 kills and 3 deaths, with a 63% win rate, which is way lower than our 70% overall. So this mon disappointed me a lot. So not being able to Terra was a really tough thing for it to deal with, because it doesn't have that great coverage. It has access to Prankster, but we already had a Prankster mon in Klefki actually. So that didn't work so well for us. And when I run utility moves, in Thunderous was in the form of substitute and setup moves, which didn't work so well, as you see from its kill record. So I don't know if I didn't use it very well. Maybe I could have done different sets or try to use it in better matchups. I don't know. I'm going to revise what I did with it, but this one disappointed me a lot. Next up, we're going to be talking about Weavile. Weavile came to 5 battles, scoring 4 kills and 2 deaths with an 80% win rate. So this one didn't come as much as I thought it would, because it's too frail actually, and it doesn't hit particularly hard if you don't use like a choice band or a life orb. I don't like the item life orb, because in a frail mon, losing 10% of your health, it's pretty much a death sentence. But the speed tier that this mon brought to the team was really useful. So it managed to, I brought it with choice band like most of the times. It didn't score so many kills because I was planning for it to be like a cleaner, and in the battles I brought it, it actually never got to clean anything. So I won the battle before it was in. I brought it in, but that's okay. But the fact that it won so much of the games I brought it in tells me that this mon is actually a little better than people consider it to be. It's been Pao is way better than this mon, absolutely. But that doesn't mean this mon can't shine in certain situations. So next up we have Noivern. Noivern AMFM came to 8 battles, scored 10 kills and 4 deaths, and won 70% of the games I brought it in. So Noivern, as I mentioned, was relegated mainly to utility tasks. Here I had to bring defog U-turn, I think pretty much all weeks, except for some where I brought like Boom Burst and Terra Normal, where it did pretty good, like against the best not really, and against, I think it was Notorious 8am. But in spite of being an utility mon, this mon is a beast. It scored 10 kills. Its special attack is nothing special, but I mean, when you have Boom Burst as one of your attacks, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage. So pretty impressed with Noivern, one of my favorite dragon types, usually pretty underrated, which makes me pick it a lot of times. I think I picked it like 3 times in 3 different drafts already, so that's something to take in consideration. Next up we have Klefki, which came to 6 battles, only 1 kill and 4 deaths. Sorry about that. With a 67% win rate, which is lower than our overall win rate. This mon was relegated to screening tasks. I brought it like 2 times as a setup mon. One got tricked choice specs, if I remember correctly, and the other one it got crit, so it couldn't set up in spite of already being able to set up some iron defenses. But that's the game we play, I think. This mon underperformed in my opinion. But its typing is so good. It actually the thing that only with the typing you have great defensive capabilities, and the fact that you can bring screens is a little expected with a Klefki, and that makes opponents prepare against something that you might not end up bringing, and I think that happened quite a lot during this season. So next up we have, I think, my favorite mon of the team, which is Hippowdon. It came to 9 battles, so it was the mon that I brought the most together with Urshifu Rapid Strike. It managed to score 10 kills, only died 5 times with a 67% win rate, which is lower than our overall win rate. But I think this mon performed so well in spite of not getting that many wins. 10 kills for a defensive mon is amazing actually, and this mon withstood a lot of damage. You can bring it like especially defensive, physically defensive. It can face opponents. It can set rocks. It has Earthquake coverage, which is awesome. It was also one of my Terra captains, so I think that helped a lot. I actually ended up Terra stylizing this mon more than I anticipated, because the defensive Terras are really good in Draft League. So what I learned with my Terra captains this season was that you almost always want in this format, like with Open Terra, a mon that can set up behind that Terra protection, which I didn't have. I think it's something to consider for next season. And I also learned that defensive Terras are really good if you don't have that kind of ability that I just mentioned. So Noivern was a great Terra option, but it actually never performed what I really wanted it to perform, which is go for Terra Normal Boom Burst. I think I did it twice, because my opponents usually brought like ghost types that didn't let me do what I wanted to do. Next up we have the 2 mons that I drafted instead of the Suidway, which I kind of regret now, which are Misdreavus and Chestnut, both with 50% win rate, both coming 2 times, only winning 1 of those battles, and none of them scored kills. But I think Misdreavus was actually low-key fairly good against Upper Ape Raider, because it managed to wall that Ursaluna, that scary Ursaluna of him, being like Ghost for Fatsat and having Levitate against Earthquake or Headlong Rush was really good. I also managed to skill swap my Levitate for his Guts ability, so he ended up burnt without Guts, so he did no damage whatsoever to me. So that was pretty cool. I think that was one of my most creative sets during this draft league. And Chestnut, defensive mon, its typing sucks. Usually got hit by I think against Scorpion, got hit by Aerial Ace, I think, and it didn't perform so well, but it was expected. These 2 were the ones I wasn't planning to use that much during the season. So let's analyze. The MVP is going to be Urshifu Rapid Strike. As expected, we drafted it first pick for a reason, and this mon is solid overall. I think it didn't perform as well as I was expecting because it was not able to Terra, but nonetheless it managed to score 10 kills, and it was a mess for my opponents to prepare against. Next up we have the Hidden Gem. In this case going to be Galarian Slowking, scoring 7 kills in 5 battles for a defensive mon. being able to take a huge threat, huge threats in the form of special attackers for my opponents, and being able to creep some of my opponents as well. So I definitely recommend you to draft this mon sometime. Give it a try. It's really amazing. Next up, the most disappointing performance was for Heatran, as I mentioned. Its typing, in spite of being quadruple resistant to many types, that 4 times weakness against ground is really a mess. I think I could have used this mon better if I gave it the Terra Captain ability, but because I was in that case, I could Terra Slice into Bug, and with Flash Fire I removed that weakness from me, so that could be a thing to explore. But relegated to defensive tasks and utility tasks, this mon definitely didn't perform as well as I was expecting for a second pick. And finally, the least valuable player is going to be for Thunderous Incarnate. This was actually my third pick or fourth pick, and it was the mon with the lowest win percentage of my team, disregarding Misdreavers and Chestnut. And I really don't like that for an amazing offensive mon. It only scored 3 kills, so I don't know. I think I could have used this mon better. I had some bad matchups, I think, but I don't know. I wouldn't draft it again if it didn't have the ability to Terra. I think I was missing that Terra ability, and special flying stab, because I only had acrobatics to work with, so that's something to bear in mind. So finally, final remarks. I want to congratulate Raymond for being the first ever Pokemon scorer. You really deserved it, Raymond. You had a hell of a regular season and a hell of a playoff run, and man, I'm really happy for you. I'm happy you found this interesting, and that you ended up winning everything. So congrats again. I want to thank every one of the coaches for the amazing job you did, for sticking with the league, and most of you except for one, I guess, but you did amazing. In spite of some of you not having amazing records, you definitely showed that you are capable of bringing cool sets and putting a fight against anyone. So thank you once again. You did this league really kind of easy to manage. Actually, I've had some experiences in other leagues where there are way more problems than in this one. The third thing I wanted to say is thanks to Operator54 for sticking with me and guiding me through this process. This is actually the first league that I am the owner of, and I commission like regularly. And in spite of not being really hands-on with the dog, because I'm hysterical about it, I want to touch it and tally the data, and Operator didn't manage to do that because I did it before. He really was a great support for me in tough decisions during the league. So thank you once again, mate. Fourth remark is dealing with people is really difficult. We all are different persons. We all have different personalities, and managing that, like managing arguments that could come between us, is a bit stressing, and that's something I don't look to do forward. Looking forward for the following seasons. And finally, can't wait to announce season 2. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be, the announcement is going to be sometime during these following weeks. So we're going to announce a date. We're going to announce the new rules, and we're going to be opening registrations for the season 2. I'd like to welcome us as well, Scorpion and Stefan, who are going to be my commissioners from Europe. and will be guiding us throughout the second season of the BHDL. So, with that being said, guys, thank you all for coming, for liking BHDL as much as you did. I think the videos did really, really well as well for some of our coaches for this league. So I'm really happy about that. And see you all. Bye.